After watching this complete guide, you'll know what every multifunction display element does, as well as tips and strategies so you can master the MFD in Gran Turismo 7. Welcome to Gran Tiger Gaming, where I cover Gran Turismo and other driving games. To explain the MFD, I'll be driving the Subaru WRX STI. If you're unfamiliar, the MFD is used to dynamically change the car assistance features and information while you're driving. You can tap left and right on the D-pad to change the MFD and up and down to adjust each setting. So starting off, let's take a look at the fuel map. The fuel map allows you to adjust how much fuel and therefore power that you're using. When a race begins, it's at the full power setting of 1, but being able to reduce the fuel consumption and engine power can help you strategize during the race, like being able to squeeze out an extra lap before pulling into the pit. The fuel map also shows an estimate of how many laps you have left. Gran Turismo 7 seems to have a lot more fuel-dependent races than Sport had, so be sure to keep an eye on your fuel map. Now let's take a look at brake balance. If you have the brake balance system installed, you can tweak your brake bias to the front to have better braking power, but it will produce some understeer. Or you can move the braking bias towards the rear, which will make your brakes a little more sluggish, but allow you to maneuver turns better while braking. In this example, I have mine set to -2 and sometimes -3 on this map since I need lots of braking force after the very high speed straights. Now let's look at TCS, or the traction control system. TCS on anything above 0 will slow you down to keep you more stable when your car is losing traction, especially around corners. I think in GT Sport, it was very easy to leave TCS at 0 and just drive well, but the physics in Gran Turismo 7 feel a little less forgiving, and there are cases you actually want TCS on, like in older cars that don't steer well, or if your tires are just wearing too fast during a race. TCS will definitely help. In this case, I have mine set to 1 to preserve my tires a bit in such a long race, and to also help when it starts to rain on this course. Now let's take a look at the course map. The course map is super helpful since it helps you understand the track better and foresee tight turns that may be coming up. I often leave the course map on when I'm learning or reviewing a track I'm having trouble on. It helps me memorize where the turns are coming up and when I have straights that I can rely on for passing. Now let's take a look at the radar. When playing online, the radar is probably the most important element. It helps you see your position relative to other cars, as well as your placement on the road and which line you're generally in. This is extremely helpful in close races. More people should be utilizing this in the online races. Next, we have the session chart. I don't use this one too much, but the session chart compares your sector and lap times against your best times for the session. During qualifiers, you can press up and down to change the records you want to compare. This shows you your past personal best times for sessions, but you do have to be using the same car and tires to see the stats. Alright guys, next we have torque distribution. Some four-wheel drive cars have a meter for torque distribution. This allows you to dynamically change whether more power goes to the front or back wheels. This can be very helpful. For example, if you're burning through your tires too quickly, you can send more power to the back tires to preserve your front tires, and vice versa. Another way it's helpful is to alter how the car reacts to oversteer and understeer. You can tweak it to your preference. For me, I generally like it pretty balanced, but a little more power to the front as it helps with my driving style. Alright guys, so I saved the weather radar for last. It's the newest multifunction display element in Gran Turismo 7, and it has some details that I want to dive deeper into. The look of it changed recently, but it's still the same overall. I've come to love the weather radar. For example, on the track we're using here, the weather changes drastically over the 30 minutes of racing. The weather radar shows a map of rainfall, and there's a range of how heavy the rain is. So for light rain, you'll see an aqua color. For medium rain, you'll see a deeper blue color. And then for heavy rain, you'll see blotches of purple on the map. There are also different cloud patterns and wind speeds that affect how the weather changes. So in general, I like to keep it all the way zoomed out. This is very important so you can anticipate the oncoming weather from farther away, and if you're going to need to pit for a tire change. In general, if you see light rain or just scattered rain, you may be able to continue with hard tires and just drive a little more carefully. If you start to see puddles forming on the track, but you still have dry areas of track too, you'll probably want to switch to intermediate tires And this can be helpful to navigate when, you hit a puddle and your tires get a little bit wet, but you still have to drive through the dry areas. Be careful though, because if the track isn't wet enough, you're going to burn through your tires very quickly in this case. I often find myself having to switch to the heavy wet tires, as in certain races like this one, the rainfall becomes very heavy and consistent. So keep an eye on the weather radar. Another strategy is to keep watch on the sky color. You'll often see it turn from a blue sky to more of a gray and clouds rolling in as the rain reaches you, but sometimes the rain comes in a lot faster than you realize, so it's best to keep checking the weather radar, especially if you're playing on a track that it often rains on, like Le Mans, Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, and more. Alright guys, so I know some of this seems like common sense, but the UI and the settings can be very overwhelming, especially for beginners. So if this helped you out, help me out by liking this video. I have other guides on the UI you can check out on my channel, and subscribe for more upcoming guides. Leave a comment below with any questions you have, and let me know what other guides you're interested in. As always, I appreciate you guys, and thanks for watching. Gran Tiger, out.